What's up, guys? So today we're going to be like reacting to the ReZero season 4 episode 6 cut content. So I've already seen the episode and it might be like up in a while. Okay, but yeah. So go follow us Asa Asrathia HS. I have no idea how to pronounce it. Yeah, and subscribe to him. Let's get into it. Wait.
Making a fool of himself in the throne.
Or
Julius named his
right.
comment, frankly, this is my favorite episode of the season so far. The character work is impeccable. To start, we go all the way
Yeah,
back
of
to
course.
season 1, episode 13, with Subaru making a fool of himself in the
Where
throne
I'd
room.
rather die than
Julius thinks
watch
most
this.
likely nobody would believe it. Subaru's declaration and how that arrogant declaration made him the enemy of every single person in the Great Hall of the castle. Before we cut right back to the start of Julius versus the Stick Swinger. Julius tosses him the sword that he pulled, stating that attacking an unarmed opponent would be shameful. And he charges in only to have his sword strike immediately stopped because the man isn't unarmed. He's wielding chopsticks, and with them, he has frozen Julius in place. He kicks him aside and catches up to him instantly, stabbing him over and over. Horrified of Julius getting his ass
Stabbing
beat,
him.
Anastasia begins to fire off G-Wald at the expense of her own life. However, the Stick
Whoa,
Swinger can
okay,
even cut
that
light.
was.
A deadly determination colors her face as she continually fires G-Wald, but they're cut down all the same. Julius is struck, pinned to the floor, and dragged. Nobody can do anything but watch in horror, especially as Anna collapses, causing Julius to break free from the man's grip. He tries to kick him, but he easily dodges, causing Julius to lash out with his blade.
Yep.
The following attack is described like so in narration. Even driven by righteous fury and a sense of duty, it was a beautiful and elegant attack. It was possibly the most advanced attack he had learned as a knight. Subaru cannot begin to know how many weeks and months of hard work, sweat, and blood it had taken to learn. The attack was deflected. All that swordsmanship that Julius had built up, it was all cruelly twisted about by the man and his two chopsticks.
Yep.
He trampled all over half of the life Julius had lived.
It's an interesting like thing to like see that the fucking chopsticks can like stop a sword, which is crazy concept. And I honestly like appreciate like Tappe for this kind of thing that that only in anime or only in ReZero you would ever see this kind of like absurd method to like fight, which is insane. And first of all, I would say that the absurd method I'm like calling like is Reinhardt's sword. He can't draw out his sword, so he fucking fights with his own hands, which is crazy.
He calls him a useless, ugly swordsman, and an emotion appeared on Julius's face, one that couldn't be made out. Once more, Julius unleashes an attack, this one filled with doubt.
Which I really like the concept of this episode, that the self proclaimed the knight and the actual knight was in season 1 episode 13, and now the roles have reversed, that the Subaru is the actual knight and Julius is the self proclaimed knight, which I mean the parallels are insane.
The man catches it in between his two chopsticks and breaks his sword in two.
Which in that's
What
insane,
broke
actually.
just then
Not
was
gonna
Walter's
lie.
sword. Telling him to go to sleep, he pummels him directly in the head, knocking him out. I would start doing some analysis here, but I'll save it for a bit later because I feel like it works way better when you have the full context of the episode. As he turns his attention to the rest of the party, Emilia steps up to take him on next. She also questions if they'd already won because the man was moving when beating Julius, but he tells her to not be so literal. Emilia asks if they can just give
Fair
him a way to
point.
win, and if she can make him move one step, if that could do it. And he
That
supplies her
shot
with
is
success,
crazy.
calling her the biggest idiot he's seen since Trisha. And no, we don't know what
Yeah,
that name means either, so
Trisha.
she unleashes her magical power.
Alright, so in my subtitle, it says that Tricia, which was with the C. I didn't see any like H. So that's interesting, I guess.
Which he continually and effortlessly blocks.
Oh,
A
fucked
habit
up there.
blow, a twin blade slash, a longsword slice, a katana's draw, a whip's crack, an axe's slam. She attacked with everything she could think of, and they were all blocked. The man dodged twin blades by leading his back almost all the way to the ground, causing Amelia to stumble, and he takes advantage of that opening, pretty much
Of
just
course.
sexually assaulting her because this man
Fucking
is
hell.
clearly a massive degenerate, and in response, she forms a giant glove of ice and punches him straight on the crown of his head, causing him to yell out in pain. Subaru, obviously not happy with the assault that just
Why?
took place.
I'm not like the reason behind. I know the reason behind him, like doing that to Amelia because he's a fucking perv. But why was he like doing this? I've okay, I have no idea.
This yells at him, calling a pervert, a shit stain, and an archbishop. Beatrice says, calm down though, and look at his feet. Emilia made him move a single step, meaning that she had passed. They briefly worried that he was crude enough to ignore that, but despite their expectations, the man allowed her to pass, spawning that giant spiral staircase before them.
Wow,
The action in
that's
this episode is awesome. Did you guys enjoy it? Let me know in the comments below. Now, here's
yeah,
the thing.
for sure.
Emilia is allowed through, and just when Subaru thinks that there wasn't much to this examination for,
I had a hunch. I had a hunch from the start that every single person has to like to pass this trial by fighting Reed. I had a hunch. I'm not gonna lie. So yeah, that is insane.
the man calls out to him, asking if he's next or one of the two children. The man's presence couldn't even be compared to before. It almost smelled like the air was burning. Subaru was slow to understand what was going on as his instincts cried out at the dramatic shift, as if everything up till now had been child's play. A whole sequence was cut here, which we can talk about later, but Julius and Anna are taken to the green room, and Ram asks that if Emilia was able to clear it, shouldn't she go check on the next floor, but the group firmly decides that it's too dangerous because of the
Yeah.
stick swinger. Subaru thinks of the face Julius made, and he feels worried for him, before also thinking of Aridna's desperation. Ram says it's obvious that she was worried about him, and the more pressing issue is the stick swinger. When Subaru and Emilia
Okay, so no, to this guy, it seems like that the mic is like around here, rather than like here. I guess yeah.
compare him to Reinhard, Ram begins to talk about the strongest people in the world, and we learn about the Valachian Empire to the south, having the first of the 9 divine generals, Cecilia Segment, the Blue Lightning. We learn about the Holy Kingdom of Gesteko, having the Mad Prince,
Mad
and we
Prince.
finally learn about the Kauragi Federation having the Admirer, Hannibal. None of them, however, fit that appearance described. Beatrice adds that he was wearing clothes from Kauragi, and he was proficient with chopsticks. And then Charlotte begins to wake up, unfortunately. Pondering why she could have passed out, they go through the sequence of events again, and then Charlotte screams. She screams out the man's name, Reed. Reed Estrella. A great swordsman who was said to have cut down witch beasts, master swordsman, dragons, and finally even
Dragons,
a witch.
even a
The first person to be
witch.
granted the title of Sword Saint, and one of the 3 heroes who
God
saved the world.
damn.
That was the name of someone who should have died.
Wait, so there's like a long thought going on theory about like Subaru being a Flugel. So was Raid Astrea with Flugel? Because at that time, I think Witch of Envy was the only one that was standing, and she killed everyone. And I think Raid and Flugel teamed up. A theory? Who knows?
400 years ago. If it weren't for the place they were in, it could have easily been laughed off. This was probably obvious to a lot of you, but I was just calling him Man and Stick Swinger throughout these videos so as not to spoil people. Sorry if that was annoying, I guess. Considering their enemy, Subaru knew exactly who to ask about how to defeat him, and so Subaru returned to the green room, but when he arrives, he finds that Julius is already missing. Reed tells
Yep.
Julius he isn't going to play around with him this time. He closes his eyes for a moment,
Which to me that
emotion.
seems like that in the second trial of Julius like trying to like pass the trials, I felt like Raid was actually trying to fight, but he found Julius methods of swordplay boring, which seems like it. I don't know. It's to me it seemed like that.
And wielding the Sword of Selection against Reed, before giving his name and title once more. Reed's eyes narrowed. As long as he keeps doing that lame shit, he's never going to be fit to play with him, he states. There was an absolute ton of narration and inner monologue in this fight that is not the anime, so I want to read some of it out to you guys because I think it's awesome. It almost
Yeah.
brought a tear to Julius's eye. How well this sword fit in his hand. It's enough to make him feel like he has been chosen by the sword.
Whoa.
When he began training, the very first thing ingrained in him was footwork. He was confident he was blessed with a good master. That master we see in this flashback is
Yeah.
also pretty clearly Rickard Hoffman, a noble of Lagunica, and believe it or not, father of Ratchins. We've seen him once.
What? Father of Rat? Wait. Wait. He's the father of this guy. This. He was a bandit. Why was he a bandit if his father was a fucking noble? What the fuck? Why?
He calls Amelia a half devil and talks shit about Felt for being from the slums. Not the best look. Also, believe it or not, this is new information to novel readers too. In the novels, his master is completely unnamed and unshown, so that's interesting. While they fight, Reed reads straight sentence. He reads Julius like a book, saying it's like he's right out of a manual. In the novels, Julius is described as attempting to summon attacks using his spirits, like blades of wind and such, but there was no support from spirits. When Julius is kicked in the side and sent flying, he's blown away. He attempts to
Yeah,
counter, but
that's the thing. I was waiting for the anime to actually mention his spirit arts. That why isn't he using his spirits, which I was expecting anime to answer, but I guess it was not in the novel either. But they kind of did give some sort of explanation about it, since he was he was trying to use it, but the spirits was not listening to him. That my god, my tongue is okay. That kind of stuff. So yeah.
he's effortlessly blown away again. He wipes the blood from his nose with his white sleeve, dirtying his uniform with a vibrant red color. In the novels, he poured all of his spirit into the sword. He thinks this must hit. I must be strong. Reed, in the face of Julius's shaking will, calls him lame. How long has he held a
You
sword?
know what this exact moment reminds me of when Garfield faced Reinhardt, and he realized that there is someone stronger than him, which was interesting. There's an interesting parallel here. Nice.
Reed picked it up 3 months ago, and he can cut light. What can Julius cut? Reed beats him to a pulp once more. You haven't swung your sword enough. You can't swing enough. You aren't swinging enough. You haven't done everything you could do. It's not enough. You aren't enough. You shouldn't have come. You're out of your league. This isn't your stage. You weren't
Pure
ready.
rage
Nearly moved
baiting
between
at this
Julius's
point.
thoughts, Reed destroys him. I have to be strong. I have to prove myself with my sword. I've lost my name, my house, my family, my lady, my comrades in arms, my friends, the spirits bound to my soul. This is all I have left. I am all that remains. What I've been
Yeah,
asked here,
that's the thing. Okay, I love the episode, but if these monologues were actually shown in some sort of way in the anime as well, it could have made a huge impact on Julius character, because to us we do know that he have nothing now, but hearing from his side would have been much more impactful.
is all that remains. This is the only proof that I exist. Reed
Damn.
tells him to not put that pretty mask on. Are you content just copying someone else? Your sword's as boring as you. Julius thinks back to his childhood, when he set his sights on the pinnacle of the sword. However, he quickly gave up on it as a goal that was impossibly high, when he realized with his own eyes the great duty that red-haired boy shouldered. No one's looking at you. No one expects anything of you. Don't half-ass thinking I'm just playing around. It's no fun kicking you around. I admired it. Overflowing brilliant stories. I thought I wasn't adequate to stand among them, so I grew desperate, struggled that I might someday reach the dream I gave up on. That one blue eye, the disheveled hair the color of flames. They overlapped with the boy who had been his reason for giving up on his dream, and with the many aspirations he had felt afterward. Julius's sword had failed. All the efforts he had put in were meaningless.
That's the thing that's the thing that even as a swordsman, that you have a dream to become the best swordsman there is. I mean, Reinhardt exists, so that you could have some sort of bitterness towards Reinhardt, even though I mean, it is his fault. We have seen that Reinhardt actually wished for the master swordsman. What is called? Was it authority or no? Sorry, divine protection. But still, you would kinda have some sort of a bitterness towards Reinhardt for being so perfect. Yeah, I mean, it's showing here, kinda. Yeah.
He had poured blood, sweat, and tears into the one and only thing he still believed in, and now it was crumbling before him, trampled underfoot. Something had started to bubble up inside him, but it was erased by something greater. He swung, kicked, slammed, spun, split. His entire body cried out. He couldn't focus. Sword. Where is the sword? Tightening his hand, he felt its hilt. I can't let
Wait. Yeah.
not of this. If I lose even this, what will I have left? Or am I holding something else that is merely shaped like a sword? I believe I was not mistaken in my way of life, that I was following my own path as I walked it. That is still how I feel. I never imagined that would ever waver for all my days, so when slipping from my fingers is a problem well apart from right or wrong, or was I mistaken? Am I like this now because I failed to follow my way of life, because I was mistaken in the path I chose, because I
God
believed in the wrong thing?
damn.
I've lost my name, my house, my family, my lady, my comrades in arms, my friends, the spirits bound in my soul. If even this, the one thing I have left, is insufficient, is a lie not enough to support me? I shall be strong to support you. The vow he swore.
You know, it really shows that the Julius was really going down that path where when Subaru went in that path in like season 1 episode 13. That's actually sad, you know. I actually like Julius.
To his lady.
God damn, that's
I
so,
remember how strong
so
you are. The
depressing.
words of the one friend he had left. Even though that strength was the only thing supporting me in a world where I've lost everything, even though it was the one and only unerasable certainty, while I'm so weak and fragile. Reed takes advantage of Julius, falling lost in thought, and Julius wonders how long it had been like that. That small opening is as good as 1,000 chances to kill for him, for the Sword Saint. There was a piercing sound. Opening his eyes, Julius saw the sword clattering across the floor. Even the sword had finally slipped from my hands. I've lost my name, my pride, and even my sword, so who is even standing here? Subaru makes it upstairs, yelling out Julius' name, but
Damn.
he could only think. I wonder, Julius Jaculius, am I truly worthy of that name? Subaru climbs down the long, long stairway as Julius wakes up. Subaru asks him if he remembers what happened, and he responds, a pathetic story. He was easily defeated. He asks if Anna is okay, to which Subaru confirms. Hesitating for a moment, Subaru tells him that he'll be surprised to know he was fighting, but Julius already knew. There were several clues. Flaming red hair, a blue eye, incomparable swordsmanship. He had also seen the term stick swinger in books as well. Julius apologizes for failing to tell him, and silence befalls them again. Subaru decides to tell him, however. Emilia passed the examination. He keeps talking and talking, feeling the awkwardness, but Julius says that it's good that Reed is not an insurmountable wall. Julius asks to be put down. Subaru responds by saying he isn't heartless enough to do that. Put me down, he says, but no. Stop being so stubborn. Everyone besides Shala and Anna already saw him lose anyway. All the more reason, Julius replies. He can't let Anna see him like this, and he twists and slams him into the wall. Dismounting, he tumbles down some steps. When Subaru wants to help him, Julius yells to not come. He could stand on his own. Subaru began to move in. Julius urged him, pleading in his mind to go past him. He would be
Yeah.
indebted to him, but if he could lay the
Man.
groundwork for Julius's failure, he would forever appreciate it. Subaru understood what Julius was thinking.
Subaru
It
actually
resembled
saw
something he had felt before
himself in
and so
it.
at that moment, Subaru begins to curse in irritation. He grabs Julius's arm, wedging himself under his shoulder. He can't leave Julius behind. He wouldn't be able to forgive himself. He won't say he knows everything in his heart, but right now, right here, there's no reason for him to make him walk these stairs, this long, long stairway all by himself. He can lend a shoulder. It's not even a favor, Subaru thinks. Talking about debts and favors is stupid. If we started counting those, then how much would he owe Julius by now? He understood why
Yeah.
Julius faced Reed knowing he couldn't win.
Man,
Subaru
Subaru
did
really
the same.
just
He
growed
challenged
the
Julius.
fuck
Even
up,
getting
man.
knocked down
He
countless times,
growed
kept
as a
standing back up
fucking
and
character so
challenging.
much.
Because there had not been any other way for him to vent the fury that had welled up in his breast. And at the time, when it was all over, after his argument with Emilia ended things, and he had been all alone, it had been painful. So painful he had wanted to cry, so how could he leave him to take these stairs all by himself? Most likely, nobody would believe it. Subaru's declaration and how that arrogant declaration made him the enemy of every single person in the great hall of the castle, and how this moment left a deep, deep impression on one man. I fucking love this episode. I wanted to wait before the full summary was done before I start analyzing, but Julius here is an absolute masterclass in character writing. We get to see just how deeply his name being lost impacts him, and it all circles back to his childhood. This is a cut detail, and I usually try not to reference these in the episode sections, so I'm sorry, here's your warning, I guess, but Julius is not a legitimate heir to House Jaculius, and I feel this is crucial in understanding this episode as well, because this fundamentally informs the Julius that we've seen throughout ReZero so far. Julius is a commoner adopted into a prestigious family. This means that he has worked and worked and worked to attain the
What?
title of
I did
finest.
not
He's honed
know
his blade,
that.
sharpened his appearance, and streamlined his attitude. He's fallen in line, studied, and become the embodiment.
Which explains a lot of things about Julius. For being him almost like being in like every single time we ever see him, he's as still as possible. He's composure, and he's like being a perfect knight that you could ever see. Now this makes a lot of sense, not gonna lie. God damn, so he was actually like adopted to. Oh yeah. I mean, so the person who came from nothing will try his best to be like perfect, which makes a lot of sense now. God damn, Tape. God damn.
Of customs. This also informs why he's a history dork, because he spent that time brushing up on the legends of old. He read about them, formed ideas on how they should act, and wanted to be just like them. He thought highly of figures such as the sage, the sword saint, or the dragon, and so he wanted to stand among them. What really put the road he had in front of him into perspective was him as a kid encountering Reinhard. Uniquely shown in this
Yeah.
episode as him even beating his teacher Rickert, it distanced himself from that goal, and yet Julius still became the finest. He mastered all those aforementioned elements of the culture and the blade to become the finest of knights. His reputation preceded him, his achievements monumental, his status important. So when you take away that title, that reputation, those achievements, and the status, who do you have left behind? You have the scene of Julius wiping his blood off on his knight's outfit. Something that to Julius, this pristine, untouchable white clothing, being drenched in the hues of red. The image of perfection cracks, and the only thing left remaining is the insecurity of Julius, stained with his own feelings of inadequacy now that his name had been
God
lost.
damn.
The one thing that could not be taken from him is what he had learned with the sword, but that too was made a mockery of by the same hair and eyes that forced him to reconsider his life as a child. The sword was all Julius had left. The teachings ingrained into his very soul still remained, but they were inadequate. And when even the sword was taken from his hand, the very identity of Julius Jaculius became empty. Bested by the first sword saint without even landing a single blow. Cue Natsuki Subaru. The stairs scene is one of my favorites in the arc. I love it to bits, seriously, because of how Julius had ended up
Stairs?
exactly where Subaru was in Arc 3. Subaru's self-proclamation of a knight was arrogant. It made a mockery of everything Julius had come to understand and know. Subaru had no regard for the customs or the traditions of this land, and that's why it moved Julius so deeply as well. Julius and Subaru, both commoners put into positions to what they did not feel fit for, the self-prescribed arrogance of thinking that they could be something as perfect as a knight. Julius saw himself in Subaru, and it made him frustrated. And now, Julius goes further, placing himself in Subaru's shoes as he challenges Reed hopelessly, getting beat, standing back up, over and over again because of his own arrogance, but also his own despair. And so he couldn't let it slide. Subaru and Julius both wanted to prove themselves, and seeing Subaru acknowledge this and walk with Julius down those stairs is genuine kino. For the episode review, yeah, dude, it's fucking fantastic. I had to think about it for a little bit, but I decided this is my favorite episode of the season, slightly edging out episode.
Yeah,
3.
actually, same. I mean, I have seen a lot of like, I've seen like 5 episodes, but to me, that this episode like being my favorite, not because of the action, but because of the parallels of like between Subaru and Julius. Insane.
But episode 6 is a better 9. The content is just better. The action of this episode is really good. I don't really like the couple of cuts we have that are just two characters standing still and doing a billion attacks. Didn't like it in
Yeah.
don't like it here. But when the episode isn't doing that, it is fucking fantastic, dude. It's impactful, and honestly, Reed's power is portrayed quite well, in my opinion. His overwhelming ferocity. Also, the G-Wald cut is insanity. When the hell was G-Wald doing stuff like that? Lots of the attacks outside of the Dookie ones have tons of weight and impact. I love the Julia's kick we see in both the trailers and the first portion of the episode. It's awesome, so naturally, Emilia versus Reed is also fantastic.
Alright, we're
Julius,
gonna
their
jump
final
straight to the
exchange, it is
cut content.
Amazing episode. Did you guys like it as much as I did? Please do comment down below your rating. First thing cut happens after Emilia wins the examination. It's an entire sequence actually, but it starts with Betty calling out that Reed is making a decisive mistake, attempting to call him out on the semantics of Emilia's declaration. He, however, refuses to let it slide and says that at the start, they were just supposed to beat him, but doing what someone else said is seriously boring, so he forcibly woke himself up. Reed continues to sexually harass Emilia, and Subaru cracks his whip at him, which is obviously
Wait, what?
He tells Subaru that he has good taste, but to save the whip cracking for his enemies and his girl. Meili chimes in for the first time,
Raid.
saying they should probably turn back, and she was frankly terrified. Reed yells that he's done, he's out, and that he doesn't care anymore. Subaru tries to counter that notion, but Reed adds that when he doesn't feel like going at it, he doesn't play around. You sure you want to do this? A deathly chill hit Subaru's body. He still wore a smile, but it now had a different quality. As ferocious as it was before, it had still had warmth to it. Now it was the dark, bloody, murderous smile of an evil beast. Emilia put her hand to her throat. Her knees gave out and she fell to the floor. She had forgotten to breathe. That reminded Subaru to breathe as well.
Whoa,
If there hadn't been a visceral
goddamn! Yeah,
reminder, it seemed all too
if that scene was in the anime, oh, Reed's aura would be insane.
possible that he might have suffocated. Reed tells them to beat it again, and that he's going to sleep. Bailey urges them to hurry as they carry the wounded down the stairs and retreat from the exam, and then the episode continues like normal. A very small cut is that when Subaru was talking about Julius's sword being broken, Betty can't understand why it's such a big deal. A sword can be reforged, so Subaru compares it to the little trinkets and stuff that he's made for her. Imagine destroying those. She would be sad, so she apologizes for saying it, something like that. The start of Reed versus Julius round 2 is also a little bit different, in that Reed is woken up by Julius walking up the stairs. He didn't mind being woken up,
What?
given his life on the battlefield. As Julius crested the stairs, Reed distinctly had him in his memory. He thought Julius would be a bit smarter than that, though. Another small cut is that when Julius is thinking about how to beat Reed, he thinks, leap in again, chase him down, hit it with my sword, at least wipe that easygoing smile off his face. Then the real fight, and it's like Reed is reading his mind, and he replies to that thought. He asks if he thinks that there are fake fights and real fights like a kid's story. We don't actually cut to Subaru and Julius walking down the stairs right away. In the novels, Subaru comes to retrieve him, and Reed tells him to hurry up and take him back because he's getting in his way. Subaru calls him Reed Estrella, and Reed bites back, telling him to stop investigating people's names. It's cooler to not introduce himself, so don't get in the way of him acting cool. Subaru says that Reed is awfully generous for a guy who says he won't show mercy next time, since Julius is still alive. Reed, however, says that the biggest shame is getting beat to shit by chopsticks and living to tell the tale. He would rather die than have to show his face again. While walking
I mean,
downstairs,
yeah,
Julius
fair.
tells him that ordinarily he would be quite pleased to encounter a legendary swordsman, and Subaru adds that, well, Charlotte and Reed aren't necessarily living up to their names at this point. Subaru also comments on the man on the Sword Saint coin looking different from Reed, and Julia says that most of his accomplishments were when he was older. The version here is simply younger. That is all that was covered in this episode, and dear God, it is a good one. A great episode, a great...
Alright, guys, subscribe to the Asaratha. I cannot pronounce it, so sorry about that, HS. And yeah, that was it. That was a very interesting like cut content. So I would have like loved being like inner monologue of Julius being displayed here in the anime, but I guess that's a shame, I guess. Well, we will not get a perfect episode ever, which is a shame, but it's all right. But I thought like this liked this episode, not because of the fight, as I told it before, but because of the parallel between like Subaru and Julius, which was insane. But I'm looking forward to what will happen next. Till then, see you guys. It's NayeVault. Bye.